Welcome to the Bible in 1 Year with Ochidoi, and I'm your host, Ochidoi. So, I came in straight from my long walk. So I decided to, so I take these long walks, part of my exercise routine, and I'll probably share the testimony of my health challenge that I've had in the course of this, okay? So, but it requires me to do a lot of exercise, and for a while I paused my walking exercise because my health couldn't take it. Can you imagine a simple walk, right? My health couldn't take it. Anyway, I resumed today, so I came straight from the walk so I'm still in my work gear. Today was a cold day, so I decided to have some lemon and honey. All right, so welcome to the Bible in 1 Year with Uchido Aye, and I'm your host, Uchido. This podcast is about reading through the Bible from cover to cover throughout the year. I'm doing this because I want to get to know God for myself some more. I want to know the stories in the Bible and draw my own interpretations, really. And it's okay if you don't agree with the interpretations I may have drawn. You go you go check it out yourself. But on average, I just basically recount the stories that I read, and every now and then, if I feel led to, I share an insight about something in the story that touches me. Okay, and then I put a lot of Nigerian flavor into it when I'm telling the stories. I dramatize as much as possible, just so that it's enjoyable to listen to, and the storytelling um drives you to go look at the Bible for yourself. That's the whole idea. Go read the Bible for yourself. Know these things for yourself. Stop relying on other people to be the reason. Like it's saying people should eat for you. It's always better to eat for yourself. So it's the same thing. Anyway, today is day 182, and we have 183 days to go. Tomorrow we're going to have a tie. Oh no, I think today we have a tie because tomorrow we'll have 182 days to go and we'll be on day 183. Anyway, you're welcome to joining me today. I decided not to change my gear and let's move on. Let's move on. So today, every single day, we follow the structure guide from this Bible guide, and every day we read an Old Testament, a New Testament, a Psalm, and a Proverb. So today is the 1st of July, and so we're making great progress halfway through the year, and more like kind of like halfway through the Bible as well. I don't know. Are we halfway? Yes, I think we're halfway through the Bible. I swear. So we're making great progress, okay? So every day we look at an Old Testament, a New Testament, a Psalm, and a Proverb. I read out the Old Testament and the New. Sorry, I read out the Psalm and the Proverbs, and then I narrate the stories in the Old Testament and the New Testament, and then I share insights, if any, or if I feel like, or my opinions or views. All right. So today we're looking at King Hezekiah. So Hezekiah appears to be another cool king in the genealogy of in the history of kings of Israel. And David was a cool king. Solomon was a cool king. Even though Solomon at the end of his life kind of like lost it too much knowledge, right? It messed him up. Kind of like lost it. And then many of the other kings were just simply not pleasing God. Then comes Hezekiah, and Hezekiah pleases God. There was another king like 2 kings ago, Judah, the king before Hezekiah, who was also what's his name now? He was kind of like a reliable guy. I forget why did I forget his name? Okay, let's move on. Anyway, so Hezekiah is another cool king who tends to be human in his approach to things. Okay, so quickly let's just go through it. So in his 14th year, Assyrian kingdom had a new king called Sennacherib. And Sennacherib decided to pick a fight with Hezekiah. At this time, the whole of Israel had already been sacked. Israel had been cancelled and people had been relocated, and new people were now living in the cities where Israel used to live. But the people from Judah still remained in their city, and their king had been there for 14 years. So he decided to pick a fight with Assyria. If you recall, yesterday we said that when this guy came on board, he rebelled against the king of Assyria and stopped paying tribute to him. Well, the new king came and decided to, flex his muscles and challenge him, and then attacked the city and overcame the city, and then demanded money from him. So he requested for 300 talents of silver and 30 talents of gold. So serious, so much that the King Hezekiah had to strip the doors. They layered their entire temple with gold. They had to strip the doors. They had to strip the pillars of the gold layers that had been put there so that they can hand over to this Assyrian king. And he was like, I'm sorry I didn't obey, I'm sorry I wasn't giving tribute, I'm sorry, whatever. Anyway, the Assyrian army now decides to push it further, now sends a batch of people called, they had this funny name known as something like Rabishika. The Rabishika, probably like some sort of commanders in the army, with a large army. And then they sent for, so they came as messengers of the king of Assyria, and they came to Judah, and then they sent a message to the king of Judah. So they were speaking they were speaking, and we didn't know what language they were speaking in, right? So they were telling him things like, you need to line with us. Stop. Let me go to my notes so that I don't mix up. So he says to ask. He asks King Hezekiah, "What's fueling your confidence?" Because I don't know the fact that you're not begging me. You're not. There's a way I expect to be begged, because do you know how big we are, Sister? You're a tiny little, a fraction of the old Israel. You're just one little tiny state in Israel. So you have some guts and some nerve to stand up to me. You had to make me send people all the way to you to come and challenge you. What's fueling your confidence? Eh? Are you planning for war, acting like you have what it takes to fight me? Do you know me and what I've done? Are you hoping that Pharaoh will help you? Look, Pharaoh is like a reed. Pharaoh is like a reed, like this. If you lean on Pharaoh, he will pierce your hand. So Pharaoh is not important. Pharaoh cannot stand up. Pharaoh cannot defend you. It's better that you align with me. And if you align with me, I'll give you, I'll give you 2,000 horses. If you have riders, let me ride them. So you don't have what it takes. I don't know your guts. It's actually amazing to me. And so people are watching. They are there. They are watching him. So there are the servants from Hezekiah's household now are the ones receiving this emissaries from Assyria. And as they are speaking, the servants from Hezekiah's household says, "Please do not speak in Hebrew. I don't want the men on the wall to hear. Talk to me. Talk to me in a language you can understand. You don't need to embarrass the king like this." So the people from the Ramshika is like, why would I you think they sent me to come and pander to your sensitivity? Do you think I was here to speak to only you guys? I'm here to speak to the entire Judean army. And then he says, and then he switches to Hebrew, to Aramaic, I think. He switches to the language that everybody can hear loudly. And he says, "All you people here allowing Hezekiah to deceive you. Do you think Hezekiah can save you? Don't let him deceive you. He's probably gonna tell you that God will save you. Your God will do this. Your God will do that. Your God cannot do anything. Look at what we, the Assyrian kingdom, have achieved. We have plundered, we are the rulers of this area. So you tiny little kingdom cannot stand up to us. So don't allow anyone deceive you, especially that's your king, whom we hear is very religious." So he says, here, let me see if I miss anything. He says, "If you make peace with us, you will enjoy." So this is me summarizing what was said, but basically he was saying, if you guys align with us, we'll give you real estate. We'll take you to where you can enjoy a vineyard, you can live in a house that you like, and all of that stuff. But me, I'm wondering in my mind, this is me wondering now, who will come to my house, take my house from me, and offer me a better house? No, usually nobody ever comes to oppress a nation and then gives them a better life in their own nation. Usually it's worse. Anyway, all the people aligned on the wall, because in the old days they used to fortify the cities. So all the people on the walls, they were listening. No one said anything. It was like, don't listen to that clown you call your king. Oh. Don't listen to him. He's gonna deceive you. God ain't gonna help you. And everybody was just watching. And then when the servants from Sennacherib were done, they went back to Hezekiah and they told him, man, this is a bad day. These guys mean us bad. We are in trouble. And then Hezekiah hears. And Hezekiah, being one that really has a heart for God, he doesn't do all those shrine stuff. He tears his stuff, he gets up, he starts mourning, he goes to the temple, he starts to cry, and he says, he sends them, he said, go to Isaiah. And I think this is the first time Isaiah is being introduced to us now. Go to Isaiah and tell him that this is what the king of Assyria has said. Tell him to pray to God and tell us what we should do. So Isaiah, so the famous prophet Isaiah, but this is the first time I'm being introduced to prophet Isaiah. Isaiah says, do not be afraid. God has told me to tell you, do not be afraid. He will hear a rumor and go back to his country, and in his own country, he will be killed. So you will never have that fight with him and all of that. So so don't worry. He had coined the story in such a way that, oh, we have come to the edge of our breakthrough, but we can't pass through now because we don't have what it takes. So Isaiah tells him, don't be afraid. He will die of the sword in his own land. Then the king of Assyria now returns to the servants that were sent by the king of Assyria returned back to their country to see that their king was already at war with another country known as the Libna. And then there were also threats and rumors of war with Ethiopia. So, but they were still trying to make sure they held Israel captive. So they wrote a letter. In that letter, they were still threatening Israel, telling them that we have conquered this nation. They were listing all the nations they had conquered and how Israel should just stop all this foolishness and align with them and stop fighting and all of that stuff, you know. So Hezekiah got up, went to the temple, took the letter to God. So there's so much to learn from Hezekiah. Hezekiah takes the letter to God and he puts it on. He goes to the altar in the temple and he puts it and he says, God, see what this guy is writing to me. He's crying, he's pleading, he's asking for clarity, asking for direction, he's asking for God to speak, and then God speaks. God actually does. God actually does. He says to him, see what this guy has said, save us from him. And God replied concerning Assyria. He said, Zion despises you. In summary, of course, Zion despises you. Against whom did you blaspheme or reproach? God. So God is now rousing himself up. Like, you came here making all this noise. You think you can fight me? Do you know who you're speaking of again? Me? God? You think Israel is something they coined? Do you think that Israel, this whole talk of Israel's God, you think it's some little idol they built somewhere where they worship? Do you know who you're talking to? Do you know that I'm the one who made all the laws? Have you heard about me before? Have you heard about me? The one who made the heavens and the earth? And you are challenging me? You are challenging me? Blaspheming against me, reproaching. I have entered though. I've entered the matter. You didn't hear well. You don't know. Did they tell you how I made the heavens and the earth? Gosh. Anyway, anyway, as for my people, don't worry. The remnants of Israel Jerusalem will remain. Those who have been left in Judea, you will remain. You will not only eat the fruit of your land, you will enjoy it. But for you guys, eh, you won't enter the city. You won't even be able to shoot an arrow. You won't even be able to mount a siege outside of this city. I'll defend this city to save it for my sake and for David's sake. Remember David, famous King David, for David's sake. So, in one night, the army that had gathered outside the city, 185,000 of them slept and didn't wake up. The next morning, people arose to a massive defeat. And of course, fear ran through the camp. And the king of Assyria decided to go back. He went back because he had come, the people had gone ahead of him and they had come to try and mount a siege around Israel. So they went back. They went back. And he returned and then went to his own temple to pray. And while he was praying in his temple, his own children, his heirs, they came and they pierced him with the sword and killed him and escaped, while one of them became king. And that ended the reign of Sennacherib, picking a fight with who he could not fight. You understand? So one of the things I learned from this was Hezekiah did not pretend to have what it took. Hezekiah, like David, always went to God, asking for help from God. Okay, so I am in that position right now, and I have no other solution than to go to God with some spiritual matters. Okay, all right. Abraham Isaac, thank you for joining me today. Thank you for joining me. All right. So the book of Acts, we see Paul trying to go back to Jerusalem. So he goes from Kos, a place called Kos. He goes to Rhodes. He goes to Patara. He goes to Phoenicia. He bypasses Cyprus. He lands in Syria, and then he bypasses Cyprus, passes through Syria, and lands in Tyre. And in Tyre, the disciples come out, they welcome him and everything. And then when he shares with them his decision to go to Jerusalem, by the Spirit of God, some prophets told him, no, no, you can't go to Jerusalem. We hear that there's bad news, bad stuff's going to happen to you in Jerusalem. Anyway, Paul, they are floating the ships. After 7 days, Paul set sail some more after escorted by whole families, children, wife, whatever. At this point, Paul kind of like knew he was not going to see them again. So he was doing his farewell rounds. So they escorted him back. They didn't share with us the contents of their discussions much. So whole families escorted him back and he left from Tyre to Ptolemais. And then from Ptolemais to Caesarea. And then from Caesarea, in Caesarea, he entered Philip's house. Philip, one of the people who walked with Jesus, they called him one of the seven, meaning that possibly among all the main disciples that were Jesus' close confidants, um, Philip was one of the few that was still around. So they said maybe one of the seven. Anyway, he entered Philip's house. Philip had four daughters who could prophesy, four virgin daughters who could prophesy. Which brings a lot. There's so much argument about whether or not in traditional Christian circles, whether or not women should have a voice in running in the affairs of church. But why would God give people the powers of prophecy if those prophecies were not to be used? Hmm? It leaves a lot to, and I feel like one of these days we'll have that conversation. Anyway, so they enter Philip's house and they stay. Paul enters Philip's house and stays a while in Philip's house. One day, Agabus, remember Agabus from several days ago? Agabus, one of the prophets, Agabus, one of the prophets in the Gentile churches. He comes in, he sees a belt, he ties himself with the belt, and he says, the way this belt has been tied is the way they would tie the owner of this belt when he gets to Jerusalem. Everybody's like, no, Paul, you see what we're saying? Everybody has been warning you. You need to avoid Jerusalem for now. There's going to be a lot of bad stuff that will happen to you in Jerusalem. And Paul is like, stop, 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 stop all this nonsense. Stop it. Stop crying. Come on. You're going to break my heart. You honestly, I told you guys a lot yesterday. I don't care. I don't care. My job is to do what God has asked me to do. And so I'm going to go. I don't even care if I have to die for the Bible, if I have to die for Jesus. I die for what I believe, and all of that. So, and so it continues. They realize they cannot persuade Paul to stop his decision, so they let him be. He packs up and he goes to Jerusalem where he was received gladly. Where he was received gladly. Sometimes I wonder, did Paul die because he was stubborn, or did he die because he was meant to die that way? I don't know. I don't know. Perhaps it's something we'll see when we meet him in heaven. All right. So Proverbs 18. We're reading Proverbs 18 verses 8. The words of a talebearer are like tasty trifles, and they go down into the inmost body. We have almost rounded up the book of Psalms, and in this in our guide, we normally should go back to the beginning, but I would not do that. All right, so Psalm 149, nine scriptures, and we're done. Sing to the Lord, praise the Lord, sing to the Lord a new song, and his praise in the assembly of the saints. Let Israel rejoice in their maker. Let the children of Zion be joyful in their king. Let him praise, let them praise him in the dance. Let him sing praises to him with the timbrel. Let them sing praises to him with the timbrel and the harp. For the Lord takes pleasure in his people. He will beautify the humble with salvation. Let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud on their beds. Let the high praises of God be in their mouth, and the two-edged sword in their hands, to execute vengeance on the nations and punishment on the peoples, to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron, to execute on them the written judgment. This honor this honor have all the saints. Praise the Lord. We have gradually come to the end of the book of Psalms. We're crossing off everything. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Please subscribe to my channel. Share this with someone if you think they want to know more about the Bible. And make sure you join me when next I go live by turning on your notification buttons. I'll see you tomorrow.